The little red LED on the card reader didn't just blink, it sneered at me like it knew something I didn't. That electronic rejection echoed louder than the rattling AC unit overhead, which had been making that dying lung sound for 3 years because director Helen Morrison preferred spending maintenance money on executive retreats to Cabo. I'm Richard Coleman, 47 years old. And I didn't panic. Panic is for guys with mortgages they can't afford and secrets they can't bury. I just stood there holding my plastic lanyard, looking at those glass doors of Omnicore Solutions like I was inspecting a crime scene that hadn't happened yet. The glass showed my reflection. 10 years of practiced neutrality, eyes the color of steel, posture that said middle management but meant Marine Corps precision. "Card trouble, Rich?" The voice came from behind me, dripping with false sympathy you'd find in a divorce lawyer's waiting room. It was Lisa Rodriguez, our new chief of security. The title was a joke. Lisa was an ex-cop who got bounced from the force for excessive enthusiasm and now spent her days patrolling hallways of accountants like she was storming Fallujah. She smelled like cheap perfume and insecurity. "It's red, Lisa," I said, keeping my voice flat. "Usually means the bill wasn't paid or someone pressed the wrong button." "Director wants a word," she said, hooking her thumbs into her tactical belt. No gun, just a taser and flashlight, but she stood like she was packing artillery. Escorted entry only. I looked at her, really looked at her, the sweat on her upper lip, how her eyes darted to the receptionist, then back to me. She was performing. This was theater. And if you're wondering what happens when a washed-up cop tries to intimidate a Marine who knows exactly where the bodies are buried, literally and metaphorically, stick around because this show is just getting started. "Lead the way, soldier," I said. She didn't like that. Her jaw tightened, that little muscle jumping like a trapped insect. She swiped her badge, gold-plated thing she definitely bought herself, and the doors hissed open. The office smelled like it always did on Tuesday. Stale coffee, ozone from the copiers, and low-grade despair of 200 people realizing the weekend was still 4 days away. I walked past rows of cubicles, heads popped up like prairie dogs. Amanda from reception looked away quick. Stephen from logistics suddenly found his stapler fascinating. They knew. In corporate ecosystems, the smell of blood travels faster than a reply-all email. Lisa marched me past my modest 10x10 office where I'd spent 10 years pretending to care about OSHA compliance and diversity seminars, straight toward those mahogany double doors at the hall's end, the director's suite. Helen Morrison sat behind a desk that cost more than my first truck. She was flanked by 2 suits I didn't recognize. Corporate legal, probably outsourced, looking carved from soap and cynicism. Morrison was 52, tanned to the color of a well-oiled baseball glove with teeth blindingly white. "Richard," Morrison said, not standing. She gestured to a chair significantly lower than hers. "Classic power move." I remained standing. "Helen," I replied. "Lisa here seems to think I'm a flight risk. She's breathing down my neck so hard I'm worried she might propose." Lisa bristled by the door. Morrison offered a tight, condescending smile. "We've decided your services are no longer required. Effective immediately." The silence stretched like a wool blanket in summer. I let it hang, wanting to see who'd twitch first. It was the lawyer on the left, shifted his weight, tapped his pen. "Rookie. Internal restructuring?" I asked, throwing them the bone they expected. "Exactly," Morrison said, looking relieved I was following the script. "We're pivoting. Your role is legacy. Archaic. We need fresh eyes on compliance. Someone who understands modern agility and federal contracting. Modern agility. Code for someone who won't notice she's funneling 6 figures monthly into Cayman accounts." "I see," I said. "And the 10 years of institutional knowledge, the audit trails, the delicate relationship with the Department of Defense?" "We have it covered," Morrison waved like swatting a fly. "HR has your severance package, standard 2 weeks provided you sign the NDA." An NDA. They wanted to buy my silence with the equivalent of a used Honda. "I don't think I'll be signing that," I said softly. Morrison's smile faltered. "It's not optional if you want the check, Richard." "I don't want the check, Helen. I want to know if you're sure about this." "Really sure? Because once I walk out that door, I can't protect you from what comes next." Morrison laughed, a sharp, ugly bark. "Protect me? You plan fire drills, Richard. You organize the office Christmas party. You're a glorified hall monitor. I think I'll survive without your protection." She leaned forward, cologne wafting across the desk. something musky and expensive, masking the scent of rot. Lisa, escort him out. 5 minutes for personal effects. No electronics. Understood, Lisa said, grabbing my elbow. I pulled away, not violent, just firm. Don't touch me. I looked Morrison in the eyes one last time. I was memorizing the arrogance. I wanted to remember exactly how smug she looked, sitting on her throne of lies, thinking she was queen of the jungle. She didn't know she was just a termite in a house already fumigated. Goodbye, Helen. As Lisa marched me through the gauntlet of staring co-workers, I didn't feel humiliation. I felt cold, jagged anticipation in my gut. The feeling of a sniper adjusting for windage. They thought they were taking out trash. They didn't realize they were unplugging the containment unit. I walked into the parking lot, sun glaring off asphalt. Lisa stood at the glass doors, watching to make sure I got in my sedan. I reached into my pocket and touched the cold metal of my real badge, the one tucked deep in my wallet with the silver holographic sticker. I started the engine and checked the rear view. Lisa was still there, arms crossed, looking proud. Enjoy the victory lap, I whispered to the empty car. You just triggered the apocalypse. My apartment is sterile sanctuary. No cats, no live, laugh, love signs, no clutter. Just furniture that looks uncomfortable because it is, and stillness that would make a monk nervous. Complete opposite of the chaotic mess of incompetence I'd just left behind. I kicked off my dress shoes and walked straight to the second bedroom. To anyone visiting, it's a guest room. Generic bed, dresser, sailboat print on the wall. But if you slide the dresser 3 inches left and press the knot in the hardwood panel, there's a satisfying click. I pulled the false closet back open. Not some high-tech command center with holograms. Worse. It was paper. Boxes and boxes of paper. Hard drives are seizable. Clouds are hackable. But paper is boring. Paper is heavy. Nobody wants to sift through 10 years of physical invoices, manifests, travel reports. Nobody except me. I pulled out a thick black binder labeled Unmapped Asset A9847, my life's work. Not the compliance training I pretended to run, but the shadow audit I'd conducted since Helen Morrison first charged a $5,000 consulting fee to a company that didn't exist. I sat on the floor, binder heavy in my lap, open to the most recent tab. The office smell was still in my nose, cheap carpet glue and ambition. I needed to scrub it out. I poured water, no ice, room temperature, efficient, booted my laptop, not the company brick they confiscated, but custom rig with encryption strong enough to give NSA migraines. Logged into a back door I'd installed in Omnicore's server architecture back in 2018, disguised as a printer driver update. The logs scrolled by. They were already scrubbing. Predictable. Amateur hour, I muttered. I could see Lisa's credentials clumsily fumbling through HR database, deleting my active status, erasing email archives. Digital sledgehammer when she needed a scalpel. Deleting file records but not deletion metadata. Every time she hit delete, she left fingerprints screaming, "I have something to hide." But the real beauty was what they missed. 6 months ago, Morrison got greedy. Wasn't just skimming anymore. Gouging chunks from the hull. Set up new vendor, Alpine Logistics, handling shipping for massive defense contracts. Alpine was just Morrison's brother-in-law with a P.O. box in Delaware. I knew if I moved too soon, they'd shred everything. So I became part of the rot. I created a ghost, navigated to the vendor list. There it was, buried deep, Vidian Tactical Supplies. Vidian didn't exist. I'd created the LLC using Morrison's own shell company templates, routed paperwork through her rubber stamp approval. She signed without reading, like everything promising kickbacks. Here's the twist. Vidian was the only vendor 100% compliant with Federal Oversight Regulation 44B, and 44B requires automated external backup of all vendor communications. By signing that contract, Morrison legally authorized redundant servers to copy every email, invoice, Slack message regarding the project. She thought she was approving another slush fund. She was signing her own digital wiretap warrant. I checked Vidian's status, humming beautifully, capturing everything. New email from Morrison to her lawyer. Timestamp 20 minutes ago. Subject, he's gone. Body, we're clear. Lisa walked him out. Scrub the database just in case, but he doesn't know about the Cayman accounts. We're safe. I sipped tepid water. The arrogance was breathtaking, almost artistic. She truly believed because I wore khakis and organized Secret Santa, I couldn't understand complex embezzlement schemes. Thought compliance officer meant doormat. I reached for my burner phone. Prepaid, disposable. Dialed a number from no contact list. Rang once. Status? A voice asked. No greeting. Gravelly baritone that sounded like gargling asphalt. Handler 0. My DOJ contact. I'm out, I said. They terminated the cover. Compromised? No. Arrogant. They're cleaning house because they're scaling up the theft. Think I was just dead weight. Do we pull the plug? 0 asked. I looked at Morrison's email on screen. We're safe. Not yet, I said. Anger in my chest was cold, heavy, solid. Not fiery rage of scorned employee, geological pressure of mountain waiting to crush ant. They need to feel safe. I want them relaxed, high-fiving over the weekend. Let them think they won. Timeline? Give me 48 hours. Breadcrumbs are laid out. Just need the rats to follow them. You're walking thin line, Richard. If they realize you have the data... They think my biggest concern is filing unemployment, I interrupted. Don't know I'm the one who built the maze they're running in. 48 hours, 0 said. Then we bring the hammer. No, I corrected, closing the laptop with soft snap. I am the hammer. You guys are cleanup crew. I hung up. Apartment silent again. Looked at the binder. I had them dead to rights. But justice isn't just about verdicts. It's about terror of realization. I wanted Morrison to sweat, wake up at 3 a.m. wondering why the air felt thinner. Memory is funny. Sometimes blur, sometimes 4K footage with crystal audio. For me, usually the latter, especially wearing a wire. I closed my eyes, drifted back 5 years. Annual Contractors for Kids Gala. Ballroom at Hyatt that smelled of desperate cologne, hairspray, prime rib under heat lamps too long. Sea of black ties, sparkly dresses. Room full of people charging government $500 for hammers, then patting backs for charity tables. I was support staff, holding Morrison's business cards, ensuring her husband didn't drink too many martinis before keynote. Helen was in her element. 3 glasses deep, face flushed alarming crimson, holding court near ice sculpture of fighter jet. It's volume game, people! Morrison shouted to circle of sycophant junior VPs hoping to catch overflow. Think margins are in tech? Hell no. Margins are logistics, the padding. I stood 4 feet away, clutching briefcase containing high-fidelity recorder disguised as calculator, looked bored, like I was thinking about my lawn. Reality, angling case to capture every syllable. But Helen, asked junior VP, kid with gelled hair, fear in eyes, doesn't DOD audit shipping manifests? Morrison laughed, slapping kid's shoulder hard enough to spill his drink. Audit? They don't have manpower to audit lemonade stand. You bury costs in miscellaneous expediting fees. Charge Uncle Sam $450 for folding chair because it's tactically deployed, not fraud if they sign the check. Circle laughed, nervous, wet sound. They wanted to be her but terrified of getting caught. Morrison had no fear, invincibility of mediocre executive who'd failed upward entire life. She turned, saw me standing there. Eyes slid over me like furniture. Richard! She bellowed, waving me over. Tell these kids about last year's audit. The labor hours classification. I stepped forward, smiling flight attendant during turbulent smile. You mean reclassifying janitorial staff as environmental sanitation engineers to bill higher tier, ma'am? Room went quiet, split second. Morrison blinked, then roared with laughter. See? He knows the game. Best damn assistant in business. Compliance officer, I corrected in my head. And I'm not playing game, Helen. I'm refereeing it. He's a vault, Morrison slurred, leaning close to gelled-hair kid, dropping voice to conspiratorial whisper the recorder caught perfectly. Doesn't talk, doesn't complain, just fixes paperwork. Need a guy like that. Not smart enough to ask questions, organized enough to hide answers. Not smart enough. That was the moment. Exact second, it stopped being assignment and became personal. Cold, prickly heat spread across my neck. She didn't see me as threat because didn't see me as person. Saw me as appliance. Toaster that processed invoices. Kept smile frozen. Shall I get another drink, ma'am? Keynote starting. Yeah. Waved me off. Double. No ice. Make sure my husband sits next to Senator Klein. Not that blonde from Lockheed. Don't want seen. I walked to bar, hands steady, ordered drink, looked at mirror reflection behind bar, chaotic party swirl, balloons, drooping for the kids banner, all grotesque. These people were strip mining the country, calling it patriotism, took drink back, handed it over, looking at sweaty, jubilant face. Here you go, ma'am. Good man, she muttered, not looking at me. Went home that night, uploaded audio to secure server, labeled it Evidence Item 049, Admission of Intent. That recording was cornerstone. Proved intent. Proved she wasn't negligent, predatory. She called me not smart enough. Back in present, sitting with Binder, I touched digital file on screen. Recording didn't hurt anymore. It was fuel. High-octane, clean-burning hatred. Should have looked at the resume, Helen, I said to empty room. I didn't go to community college for business. I went to Quantico for forensic accounting. Stood up, legs stiff, mind racing. Time to initiate phase 2. They fired the dumb assistant. Now they deal with the ghost. Tuesday brought rain. Not cleansing kind, gray, miserable drizzle turning world into smudge. I sat at kitchen table sipping superior coffee, watching digital ant farm on laptop. Morrison brought in cleaners, network traffic spiking, chaotic, sporadic, digital equivalent of someone running around with shredder, feeding random documents. My records insider, Jennifer Foster, sent encrypted text via app disguised as Sudoku game. Jennifer, it's bloodbath. Lisa interrogating interns, asking if they saw you with flash drives. Me, tell her I ate flash drives for lunch. Good fiber. Jennifer, LOL. Seriously though, brought in outside IT guy, looks like lives in mom's basement, wearing Crypto King shirt. Crypto King. Perfect. Morrison hired discount hacker. I tapped internal security feed. Still had camera access outside server room. Default factory password unchanged 8 years. Watched young guy with majestic neckbeard, hoodie, plugging laptop into main switch. Trying to wipe server logs. System performance dropped 40%. Running brute force deletion script. Sloppy. Noisy. Oh, honey, I whispered, watching screen. You're not wiping data, just hiding shortcuts. Deleting file pointers, but data blocks still sitting on drives, waiting for anyone with basic forensics knowledge to recover. Let them think it's gone. Confidence is their weakness. Lisa walked into frame, pacing, yelling at IT kid. Couldn't hear audio, but body language clear. Lisa panicked, pointing at server rack, making chopping motions. Cut it. Kill it. Phone buzzed. Jennifer. Lisa calling ex-employees. Just called Patricia from 3 years ago asking if you ever mentioned Cayman or offshore accounts. I laughed. Dry, humorless sound. Lisa was doing my work, calling around asking specific questions about offshore accounts, confirming to everyone there were offshore accounts, spreading rumors faster than I could. Keep digging, Lisa, I murmured. Digging your own grave. Decided to help. Opened terminal, executed small script I'd written weeks ago. Breadcrumb, digital trail, script created sudden localized activity spike in dormant shared drive folder labeled Archive 2020 Personal. Empty except one file, pizza receipt from 3 years ago. But to Crypto King monitoring network, that spike would look like data exfiltration in progress. Camera feed. IT kid jumped, pointed at screen. Lisa rushed over, face turning boiled ham color, panicking. Thought I was inside system stealing data right now. I wasn't. Sitting 5 miles away eating toast. Lisa grabbed radio, started shouting. IT kid typed furiously, trying to block intruder. Initiated system-wide lockdown. Access denied. Entire Omnicore network went dark. Email, phones, shared drives, everything. Kid panicked and pulled plug on his own company. Leaned back in chair. Now they were blind, couldn't communicate, trade files, most importantly, process payments. Texted Jennifer. Me. Why is email down? Jennifer. You are evil. IT guy crying. Morrison screamed so loud vein popped in forehead. This was grime I lived for. Muddy, messy, corporate incompetence. They thought they were playing chess, but actually just eating pieces. Fun was starting. While they ran around in dark trying to reboot, I prepared physical package. Simple manila envelope, no return address. Inside, single sheet. Print out a Vidian Tactical Supplies vendor agreement signed by Helen Morrison, highlighted in neon yellow. Clause 44B, mandatory external data redundancy. Wasn't sending to Morrison. Too kind. Addressed envelope to Senior Compliance Officer at Raytheon, Omnicore's biggest client. 80% of revenue. Sealed envelope. Glue tasted like victory. Phase 3, I said to empty room. Let's see how they handle light. Coffee shop across from Omnicore, the Daily Grind, had terrible acoustics, worse bagels, but perfect lobby view. Sat in window booth wearing baseball cap and sunglasses like dodging paparazzi, really just dodging former coworkers wanting lattes. 10 a.m. Wednesday. Blog post went live, 9:45. Not New York Times, not yet. Niche industry watchdog blog called Federal Ledger. Small, but read by everyone mattering in DC contracting circles. Midwest contractor linked to ghost vendors, inflated logistics costs, didn't name Omnicore directly. Cited sources close to investigation, mentioned mid-sized Ohio firm, but included redacted screenshot. Invoice for tactical folding chairs at $450 each. Watched lobby through window, started slowly. Receptionist looked at phone, frowned, whispered to guard. Suit walked by, checked BlackBerry, yes, some still use those, stopped dead. By 10:15, lobby was agitated insect hive. Saw Morrison storm through glass doors, phone glued to ear, disheveled, tie slightly askew, shouting at someone, probably PR firm she kept on retainer, really just guy named Chad who deleted Yelp reviews. Burner buzzed. 0. We have movement. Raytheon just flagged Omnicore's vendor status. Pausing payments pending review. Fast, I said, blowing on coffee. Envelope arrived. Morrison's calling favors, trying to reach Senator Klein. Klein's not taking calls. Of course not. Klein could smell corpse from 3 states away. Won't attach to sinking ship. Ready for extraction? 0 asked. Deposition's ready. Watched Lisa run across lobby, literally run, waving paper. Looked like woman trying to catch bus that already left. Not yet. Want them sweating longer. Want them turning on each other. Richard, this is dangerous. If they figure out your source... They suspect, I said, but don't know. Think I'm disgruntled ex-employee leaking petty grievances. Don't know I'm DOJ asset. If they knew that, they'd be running for border, not calling PR. Don't get cocky. I'm not cocky. I'm patient. Marines know patience. Hung up. Inside building, 2nd floor executive suite, lights blazing, despite bright daylight. Could imagine scene. Morrison screaming about leaks, Lisa interrogating janitors, lawyers figuring which shredder was fastest. Then I saw it. First crack in facade. Barbara Martinez, Morrison's executive assistant, defended her 15 years, lied to her husband about late office nights, walked out front door. Not carrying box, carrying purse and potted plant. Stopped on sidewalk, looked back at building, and spat. Actually spat on concrete. Walked to car, drove away. The rats were leaving. Barbara knew. Seen the invoices. Probably typed half. If leaving meant Morrison was trying to pin it on her. Mistake, Helen, I whispered. Never sacrifice the secretary. We know where skeletons are because we buried them. Pulled out phone, sent text to number unused for years. Barbara's personal cell. Me. If you want immunity, go to diner on 5th. Ask for Agent Pierce. Don't go home. Saw message change to read. 10 seconds later. Thank you. Smiled. Morrison just lost her firewall. Barbara would sing like canary in coal mine. Finished coffee. Air smelled burnt beans and rain, but to me, smelled like justice. Time for next step. They were panicked, confused, bleeding. Now I needed to show them exactly who held the knife. Stood up, adjusted coat, walked into rain. Wasn't hiding anymore. Walking right into Lion's Den. Parked sedan in my old spot, still empty. Nobody dared take it yet, as if ghost of my compliance audits haunted asphalt. Walked toward building. Rain stopped, leaving world slick and gray. Heart wasn't racing. Palms weren't sweaty. Strange icy clarity. This was moment I'd rehearsed during boring budget meetings. Reached glass doors. Receptionist Amanda. Sweet girl who spent 90% of day watching TikToks. Looked up. Eyes went wide. Grabbed phone. She's here, I heard her whisper shout. Lisa, he's here. Didn't stop. Pushed through doors. Lobby cooler than outside. Air conditioned to sterile chill. Lisa burst from elevators like bull seeing red. Flushed, sweaty, tie definitely mustard-stained. You! She shouted, pointing finger. Trespassing. I have restraining order pending. Leave immediately or I'll physically remove you. Loud. Wanted spectacle. Show terrified staff peering over balcony she was alpha. Stopped lobby center. Didn't raise voice. Didn't get aggressive. Just stood there, hands in coat pockets. I don't think you want to do that, Lisa. I'm warning you. Lisa advanced, hand hovering near taser. Get out. I'm here to return something. Don't want your garbage. Get out. She was 3 feet away, close enough to smell stale coffee breath. Reached to grab my arm. Don't, I said. Not request. Command. She hesitated. Something in my eyes stopped her. Predator instinct deep in lizard brain realized too late she wasn't looking at gazelle, looking at marine. Slowly, deliberately, pulled hand from pocket. Holding leather badge wallet, not cheap plastic clip-on Omnicore issued. Real leather. You wanted my badge, I said. Here, held it. Out. Lisa sneered. What's this? Toy? Snatched from my hand, flipped open, froze, stared at gold shield, eagle, engraving, Department of Justice. Eyes bulged. Looked at me, back at badge. Brain trying to process information, reconciling Richard the compliance guy with federal agent. Turn it over, I said softly. She obeyed, hands shaking. Back showed silver holographic sticker, code A9847. Asset, do not detain. Federal obstruction charges apply. Lisa made deflating tire sound, dropped badge, hit marble floor with heavy thud. Physically recoiled like leather wallet was radioactive. I didn't, she stammered. Face went from red to terrifying paste white. Morrison said you were just... Morrison lied, I said, bending to pick up badge, dusting it calmly. Morrison lies about everything. You should know that by now. Lobby dead silent. Amanda had hand over mouth. Staff on balcony were frozen statues. Is she upstairs? I asked. Lisa nodded. Couldn't speak. Looked about to vomit. Good. Tell her she has 1 hour. 1 hour? Lisa squeaked. 1 hour to call U.S. attorney and confess. If she does, might get minimum security. Maybe facility with tennis court. If she makes us come up and get her, she goes to the dark place. Turned my back on her. Didn't need to see face to know I'd broken her. Walked toward exit, click-clack of dress shoes. Only sound in cavernous room. Richard, Lisa called out, voice trembling. What about me? I was just following orders. Stopped at door, looked over shoulder. Then you better hope your orders were in writing, Lisa. Just following orders hasn't been valid defense since Nuremberg. Walked out, sun trying to break through clouds. Took deep breath. Air tasted sweet. Phase 4 complete. Rat was trapped. Now came extermination. Didn't leave property. Sat on bench near fountain in corporate plaza, watching building. Beautiful piece of architecture. Glass, steel, hubris. 30 minutes later, cavalcade arrived. Didn't come with sirens wailing. That's movies. Real federal raids are quiet, coordinated swarms. 4 black SUVs pulled up in perfect unison. 12 agents in windbreakers marked FBI and DOJ stepped out. Leading them was Agent Brandon Pierce, tall, severe man who looked like he ironed socks. Spotted me on bench, gave curt nod, stood up, joined phalanx. We walked into lobby. Lisa was nowhere, probably bathroom hyperventilating. Amanda was weeping into tissue. Secure exits, Pierce said to team. Nobody leaves with electronics. Seize servers first. 6 agents peeled off toward server room. Pierce and I, flanked by 4 others, headed for elevator. Right up to executive floor was silent. Elevator music. Soft jazz cover of Don't Stop Believin'. Irony was too much. Doors opened to chaos. People shredding paper. Could hear mechanical grind from every cubicle. Federal agents! Step away from desks! Pierce shouted. Voice like cannon blast. Shredding stopped. Hands shot up. We marched down hall to double mahogany doors. Locked, of course. Pierce looked at me. Key. She changed locks this morning. Kick it. Pierce nodded to agent on right. One swift kick near handle, wood splintered, door swung open. Helen Morrison sat at desk, not working, staring at wall, tie on floor, scotch bottle open, half empty, looked up at us. Eyes bloodshot, rimmed dark circles, looked 20 years older than 2 days ago. "You," she croaked, looking at me. "You were the leak." "I wasn't leak, Helen," I said, stepping into room. "I was the plumbing." Another agent walked in carrying heavy silver briefcase, placed on conference table, clicked open. Inside, stacks of files, hard drives, audio logs. "This," I said, gesturing to case, "is every illegal transaction you've made since 2012. Every inflated invoice, every bribe to zoning commissioners, every penny stolen from veterans' funds to pay for your brother-in-law's condo in Boca." Morrison's face twitched. "You can't prove intent, accounting errors. We have the audio, Helen, the gala. Not fraud if they sign the check, remember?" Face went slate gray. She remembered. "And we have Barbara. She's with U.S. Attorney right now. Kept backup of your calendar, even private appointments." Morrison slumped in chair. Fight went out like air from punctured balloon. Wasn't titan of industry anymore, just thief in suit. "Who are you?" she whispered. "You made coffee. Organized Secret Santa. I'm asset A9847, I said. And coffee was decaf. For 10 years thought you needed to calm down." Pierce stepped forward with cuffs. "Helen Morrison, you're under arrest for conspiracy to defraud United States government, wire fraud, money laundering." As they pulled hands behind back, Morrison looked at me one last time. No hate in eyes anymore, just confusion. Still couldn't understand how furniture came to life and ate her. "Why?" she asked. "Why wait so long?" "Because," I said, leaning close, "I wanted to see how high you'd build tower before I kicked out foundation. That's how Marines operate. Patience, precision, overwhelming force when the moment's right." They marched her out. I stayed in office. Looked around opulent decor, leather chairs, signed sports memorabilia, city view. All smelled of rot. Next 2 hours were procedural blur. Building designated crime scene. Agents boxing computers, tagging files. I walked out into Ohio afternoon. Sun had finally broken through clouds completely. Air smelled of rain, exhaust, wet dirt. Smell of real world. Got in car, started engine. Didn't just survive Omnicore. I dismantled Empire with patience, precision, and brotherhood of federal agents who had my back. Merged onto highway, turned up radio, wasn't going home, going anywhere but here. 10 years of undercover work, mission accomplished. Helen Morrison would spend next decade in federal prison thinking about the dumb assistant who brought down her empire. True power isn't loud or flashy. It's quiet, methodical force, perfectly timed, like any good Marine knows.